I guess, was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and people are just like, things are the economy, that stuff, all the stuff that kind of made Trump more defendable pre-March, that is all gone and replaced with a very, very negative cloud, which definitely has a big deal. So let's hear a little bit of Biden talking about Trump's record with African Americans.
Look, Pittsburgh, honk if you think his commitment of having done more for the African American community than Abraham Lincoln is true. Honk your horn. Silence. You got it, man. Pittsburgh, honk if you think it's a bunch of malarkey. He's lying. You got it. Look, the truth is Donald Trump has done more to harm black America than any president in modern history. This is the same man who started the birther movement against my buddy Barack Obama. This is the man who, when the first black woman running for vice president, he looks at her and he calls her a monster.
Yeah, so that is Trump Biden kind of calling out Trump, saying, honk, quote, and I love that, honk if you think Trump saying that he's done the most to help black Americans is a bunch of malarkey, and then, of course, all the honking just goes crazy. And really a interesting kind of battleground in this election that we didn't really expect is a lot of more kind of working class minorities, whether it be Latinos or African Americans, either being uninspired to turn out by Joe Biden or just not, just in some way voting for Trump, being pushed to Trump by maybe some cultural issues, especially on the Latino side. We're seeing a little bit, especially in Florida. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people aren't excited by what Joe Biden has on offer, and maybe either not wanting to turn out or maybe even considering Trump?
Well, from what I've heard in Florida, in southern Florida, he's having problems with the Latino vote. And I mean, there's a portion of the Latino vote that is Puerto Rican, and there's another portion that is Cuban. And you can kind of understand the reluctance of Cuban Latinos to vote for Biden because they're upset that Obama tried to normalize relations with Cuba, and a lot of the Cuban Americans in Florida are very, anti-Castro and anti, the government in Cuba. And of course, Biden was Obama's vice president. So you can understand where that comes from. I don't quite understand the Puerto Rican side of it. I mean, considering how Trump dealt with Hurricane Maria that devastated Puerto Rico. So, I mean, I can understand part of it, and I can't understand part of it.
Do you think that Biden is offering enough of the, like? Do you think that, I guess with the rhetoric that is kind of on offer for the maybe more working class minorities, or the people in Flint, maybe the people in Philadelphia, all those areas where like Trump is kind of relying on, just like he did last time, not having these people turn out for Hillary Clinton's benefit, but just staying home and saying, well, nothing's ever going to change. Biden said nothing's ever going to fundamentally change, so why should I give another Democrat a chance when not much has really changed for me? Do you think Biden has done enough to assuage some of those fears that kind of Hillary clearly left unanswered last time around?
I'm not sure. I think somewhat. I don't think it's a slam dunk, though. I mean, Biden definitely has more working class roots. I mean, he grew up in Scranton, and he understands union workers, and he's played up his union ties quite a bit. He can tell voters in Michigan that he and Obama saved the auto industry, which is true. I mean, there's certain states where I think he can make a pretty decent case for those kinds of voters. So, yeah, but I still think it isn't a super big game changer, but I do think it does help erode a lot of the Trump vote.
Yeah, I mean, at least sometimes just those little things, especially around the margins. Last time in states like Michigan, I think where it was like 2 votes in each precinct could have gone her way, and she would have won 2 more votes. Like that's how close it was. So yeah, I guess those things, they really, really do make a big difference. It can be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think just his references about what he's done to help Black Americans there, or why Trump's been so bad uniquely for Black Americans, were not really, I mean, very good. I'm sure there's great reasons why, but like just him saying, and I know you didn't hear that, Glenn. He just said he insulted personally Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. Like, well, he insults everybody personally in very awful ways, and of course that stuff was like against Obama was racist, but it is not the main issue of racism. Most people that you're going to want to vote for you will face in their lives, and they're not just going to vote, I think, to defend the honor of Barack Obama, right? So that is a thing that I see with what some of what Biden's pushing that worries me. But I do think there's a sense of just kind of duty for people, and that, again, holding their nose and just saying, we got to vote for Biden in all these kind of cities. And a lot of these areas where like people just get the sense that things aren't going to get any better, but they know that they'd rather have them not get any better than get worse, is what we have going on. So many supporters stood outside their cars to watch the speech in the November cold, some of them waving flags. Others sat on their roofs. Lady Gaga performed before Biden spoke. And when it was the candidate's turn, he delivered a emphatic condemnation of President Trump and being greeted by beeping car horns. And that is another kind of thing that I don't think we talk about, is the other side of this, Glenn, is a really just death drive extraordinaire. 30,000 people, 30,000 direct coronavirus cases linked to Trump rallies. At least over 18 Trump rallies. And it's got to be thousands of people who have died during this campaign, or at least 8,000 from one of the candidates' campaign events. Just insane stuff.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, it goes beyond irresponsible. I mean, it's close to being criminal.
Yeah, I really, it is. You have to wonder, you're just sitting in the office wondering, oh, I wish those coronavirus cases would go down. Oh, wait, we have 4 more rallies today where I'm not going to have anybody wearing masks. Like, it is just absolute. As I think you said, it is, I think, criminal the way he has handled this. If you look at what you see with what he understood the nature of the coronavirus, I think before other people, before you see on those Bob Woodward tapes, he knew how bad it was. He was like, this is the killer. It's the killer. It's airborne. Got to watch out for it. And then still says, I'm going to play it down. I'm going to play it down. And that is just awful, awful behavior. In terms of the African American vote, though, I think it is definitely a very interesting thing that could decide, as it did last time, these elections in some of these key states here. Do you think that Trump is going to be able to eat off enough support, or will Biden be able to hold on?
I think Biden will be able to hold on. I think Trump has a lot of problems in this election. He's got a lot more problems than Biden does. I mean, even states like Georgia and Texas could flip. You know, it's possible that, I mean, it seems unlikely, but it's possible that Trump could win Florida. That's not that impossible. I think actually Trump will win Florida. It's less likely that he'll win Pennsylvania, but say he wins Pennsylvania too. There's still the possibility that Texas and Georgia could go to the Democrats. And I wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, the turnout that we've been hearing about in Georgia and Texas is just extraordinary. and particularly Georgia. I think Georgia has a real shot at going Democrat because there are some interesting Senate races that I think are also, making people come out and vote. And so it's a very tough road for Trump. I mean, we like to scare ourselves because we have 2016 as an example, but I think 2016 was a shock, and there was a good reason that it was a shock. He won by the slimmest of margins, and for him to pull that off twice seems even more unlikely. So and the polls look better now for Biden than they did for Clinton. All that we really need to care about is turnout now. I don't think the polls are wrong, but if people don't turn out, if people say they're going to vote for Biden and then don't vote, that's the worry, right?
Yeah.
But so much of the vote has been put in the bank already. And so the lines today for the Election Day vote are not going to be as horrible. And for the voters, apparently Pennsylvania voters really like to vote on Election Day, not just Republicans. So we could see quite a big turnout from Democrats in today's vote. I'm feeling, pretty confident. I think 538, at least a couple of weeks ago, said there was about a 1 in 6 chance that Trump could win this election.
I think it's down to 10% now, which is
it down to, yeah. So
it's really something.
It's possible. You just you can roll the dice and he can win, but it's not likely.
Yeah, I just think like the really tough thing about it though is the question of the voter suppression factor and the courts and all that stuff, which is like why I don't think anybody coming in should be feeling completely comfortable at this election, just because we need to win, and we need to win by a little bit extra, I think, in this year, which it really does suck to say if you consider yourself living in a democracy. So, Glenn, thank you really again for coming on. Really do appreciate it. We'll let you go, and before you go though, how are you going to be watching this election night? What do you got in mind?
I will be watching, yeah, definitely. I watch MSNBC, and I'll stick with that. And I'm not expecting there to be a result tonight, and but I do expect that we'll know who wins Florida and maybe North Carolina. And that should really set the tone for how the rest of the election will go. Yeah,
that's kind of a plan for us as well. And by the way, if a great way, Glenn, if you want to consider this too, is if you feel like you want to integrate, and maybe get a little bit tired of the talking heads on TV, if you want to integrate some audio and some visual together, if maybe you have like a Bluetooth speaker, want to play your phone, just put the TV on mute. You can still see the results kind of coming in, flashing on the screen. But you can also get a little bit of SWRN, because we will be live again from 8 to question mark until we know clearly what's going to happen. If we know there won't be a result tonight, then we'll go off the air. But if we know one candidate may win either way, if there's any lack of clarity as the outcome, we'll be on the air for that period of time. So again, Glenn, really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us once again today, and always being such a great part of our coverage. And we will be back at 11, live at 11, just as we were live at 9, with David Langan joining us for our Election Day coverage all throughout the day. This has been Newsflash.